So I think where the Cowboys are at, and me and you talked about this in the DMs or whatever, they're finally not behind.
Right.
Where the Cowboys are at is the Cowboys are getting big at offensive line before defenses get big again.
Bingo.
That's why.
That,
go ahead.
in its simplest form, that's the punchline. That's the punchline. It begins to infiltrate the league. 2014, explosivity from offensive coordinators and quarterbacks reaches an all-time high in terms of explosive plays. Okay, this is just generally speaking. This is when the league really does truly become a quarterback and wide receiver league. Ever since that 2014 point, defenses begin to catch up. So it's constant chess match, constant counters, right? Edges are a little bit slider, a little bit bendier, can change direction better, even to the tune of dropping into coverage, zone coverage in certain situations. Okay? They're not always just all gas, no brakes forward this way. Linebackers can cover a little bit better, a little bit lighter, a little bit better sideline to sideline, east and west. Okay, got to be able to flow, but also still be able to pack a bit of a punch downhill. More defensive backs on the field most of the time, 5, sometimes 6 DBs, all as a result of countering the modern spread in the National Football League, right?
Yeah.
With that, the personnel shift from these defenses, coordinators realize it's like an aha moment, right? Oh, I can dictate things on my own. I don't have to make the offense decide what we do. Sure. I can create matchups and mismatches, as you like to say, find the scrub.
Yeah!
Edges, the best edge players, Micah Parsons, for example, no longer has to remain entrenched on one side of the line of scrimmage. Mike Zimmer, Dan Quinn, and now Matt Eberflus can, quote, find the scrub as often as they so choose, right? All this to say, Tyler Guyton has been a popular topic of discussion. Sure. Folks were quick to write him off, fair or unfair. My synopsis,
sure,
and where you really come into play, I love your perspective on all things, but especially this stuff right here.
Mm-hmm.
A gap, as a result of defensive coordinators weaponizing their athletes on the defensive side of the ball, i.e., DeMarvin Overshown, Micah Parsons, you name it, right? If you don't have A gap and B gap, because the quickest path to pressure is right up the middle, right? Quarterbacks struggle much more dealing with pressure in their face than they do off the edge, right? They can step up and still have a platform to throw from if the pressure is coming off the edge. But when pressure comes from the middle, not only does it get there quicker, there's less room for them to operate. So the increasing importance of A gap and B gap. And I know I just said a lot there, Voch, but sure, there's so much. I really feel so strongly about this that it's that important. And I believe that it's not just me, it's not just you, but also this Cowboys coaching staff under Brian Schottenheimer, Clayton Adams, Connor Riley.
Mm.
Do they recognize that too? Am I onto something here, or what do you think? What do you think ultimately?
Well, it's interesting. When you was talking about how football changed in 2010, I just smiled real big because I got context of that. Okay. Sure enough, in 2-3 years, Lando, I'm watching NFL football. The Dolphins did it first. They did Wildcat first. You know, it was like Reggie Bush and some other character that I can't remember his name, like Mendenhall, I believe. And I remember going, hey, that's what's the name? That's, you know what I'm saying? I remember seeing that.
Right.
Then they started moving pass rushers over to the right tackle. Now your right tackle got to be just as good as you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. 194% increase in the average salary of the right tackle position in the last 10 years, by the way. So the league is on it. Exactly what you just said.
So now I'm watching this, right? Mm-hmm. And you say you've been watching my draft coverage, so you understand I hate 300-pound guards.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a fan. I don't like little bitty guards.
Brock Hoffman? Brock Hoffman?
Brock Hoffman, them. You want to know where little bitty guards come from? The need to outside zone to death. Yep. So when defenses are slow, we decide to go fast, we get small. I'll add another player to your Rolodex. Aaron Donald ruined everything.
Did you hear what I said?
Aaron Donald ruined everything. Yep. Aaron Donald and J.J. Watt sat so that these new 280-pound pass rush, these smaller guys, these smaller 3-tech dudes, they sat so these dudes can fly. So now it's two things happening in this world, right? They getting pass rush from B gap, and the defense has gotten so small in general. Linebacker, DBs, they play a gang of nickel because we run 11 out there.
11 personnel, yep.
We run 11, they're playing nickel, but they still want to stop the run because the box is always favorable. So now what has happened is you got a gangster in B gap. He's probably one of your better pass rushers. And then you probably deciding to go just as big in A gap.
Yeah.
Because you got to keep your two linebackers clean just in case we elect to run on you. And they still want to decide to play nickel.
Right.
So if you're a Cowboy fan, you notice, damn, boy, Marquise Bell, 205 pounds, boy, they doing a good job getting, damn, Osa 280, damn, boy, such and such, XYZ. They run directly at you because defenses are small now.
Yep.
So I think where the Cowboys are at, and me and you talked about this in the DMs or whatever, they're finally not behind.
Right.
Where the Cowboys are at is the Cowboys are getting big at offensive line before defenses get big again.
Bingo.
That's why. Go ahead.
In its simplest form, that's the punchline.
Yep.
That's the punchline, right? It's the evolution, the counter to the counter. Mm-hmm. And Schottenheimer sees that, absolutely. So the whole Tyler Booker thing, it's not, that discussion was a nuanced discussion for a few different reasons. Like, and I don't like to sit here and poo-poo on Brock Hoffman, but we as producers, content producers, media members, like ultimately small business owners, right? We have to operate from an objective lens, and
we not poo-pooing on Brock. The Cowboys telling you what they
exactly.
The Cowboys tell you what they think.
Yes.
When Brock was a center, they said, "All right, we gotta go to the center."
Mm-hmm.
When Brock was the right guard, they said, "All right, we're about to go get right back." This ain't us. Right. And shouts out to Brock because you need backups like him. They can play 6 or 7 games. But the Cowboys telling you what they thought about Brock. And Jalen told me we ain't talking about receivers. But they're telling you this. Mm-hmm. They're telling you that they're trying to keep up with the league and they're trying to be versatile enough to move sideways and to move people.
Yes.
Brock ain't moving people. Brock falling on people that fall down already. That's just objective.
And being honest about it, especially looking at who's playing center now, like you said, they drafted a guy that wasn't even, that center was his backup position to replace Brock, right? And now at Brock's backup position, all of a sudden he's going to be stronger at a position where you're supposed to be even stronger than you were at your primary position, but you still got beat out by a guy playing his now secondary position.
Right.
So, and then I'm hearing, oh, well, they've thrown throwing darts. Yeah. Throwing stuff at the wall, hoping that it sticks at offensive line. It's Sadiq Charles,
was lies.
Robert Jones. Yeah, I'm like, listen, guys, this is not them saying, "Hey, we're good here." This is them proving to us, like you just mentioned, Voch, this how desperate we are to try to improve at that spot.
Yep.
So don't sit here and tell me that league minimum, market minimum players on the free agent market are going to all of a sudden eliminate potentially the top graded offensive lineman on your board and at pick 12.
Sure.
If it gets to that point, right? And especially not now, further context, when we know what have the Cowboys struggled with ultimately. This has been a 2.5 year long discussion for me, man.
Run the ball, stop the run.
So why not? Let's go ahead and get the biggest, baddest, by most people's account, most physically dominant offensive lineman in the class. Yeah. And let's pair him with not just one other guy, but 2 other guys who are, as you would like to say, black belts in their specific craft, their superpower, which is what? Moving people.
Whooping feet, yes, sir.
Yeah.
I was talking to Will Steele about this. Shouts out to Will Steele.
Oh my gosh, he's doing his new stuff.
He's the best. I was like, man, Will Steele, have we misjudged position value for guards? Yeah, because we're a little early still, and this was when I was putting out all the fires. You know what I mean? When Cowboy Nation was going crazy, it was like you could have drafted them later. No, you couldn't. You could have got a guard just as good later. No, you couldn't. well, guards are gonna fall in the draft. Guards aren't valuable. I think that's a lie.
Houston was trying to come take one. Were they not?
Sure, they was coming to get Booker.
That's what I'm saying.
Get Booker. I think position value lies in where the league is. Wide receivers, corners only valuable because wide receivers valuable. Tackle was considered valuable because edge was considered valuable. You got to go get the quarterback because quarterback's considered valuable, right? I can make the argument that when teams start going crazy in the postseason, it's because of their interior play. When we talk about Milton Williams and Jalen Carter making all these plays, or if we look at the Chiefs side, it's always Chris Jones. We don't talk about the edges on that team.
Nope.
Yeah, man, Montez did a little something, but it was about the interior. You know what I mean? The Washington football wizard kids, their interior matters. The Lions continue to invest in the interior. I don't think it's a coincidence that all the best characters you got to go fight have a robust interior. Hargrave
had an embarrassment of rich. Yeah. Yep.
When he was in the 49, Hargrave and them like, hey, this is ridiculous. They're just building, and even if they got two guys in the interior, they're still going to get some more.
Restock.
They're still going to get some more. I'm like, man, we can't be like chasing around, and by the time the trend is well established, we go, hey man, y'all think we should address this? Minnesota Vikings might be a playoff team that you run into. They just signed Hargrave and Jonathan Allen.
I'm already on record. I said, depending on what they get out of that quarterback position, that's the only question mark at this point. You watch. That team's going to hold people to 15, 17, 18 points on average per game. They're going to be in a lot of close football games. If they get quality replacement level quarterback play at worst,
sure,
watch out.
So to your point, we're not poo-pooing on Brock Hoffman. Look at the other characters that Brock got to go fight every day. That's the hard part. That's what I'm poo-pooing. I'm poo-pooing the people he got to fight against. I feel much better with Booker in that fight than I do Brock. Sorry, Brock.
And that's just the skill set. That's the way, the hand that he was dealt. Now, we have to acknowledge and give credit where it's due. Like you said, it's nice to know that you got a warrior, a war daddy, if you will, at the backup O-line spot. God forbid something happens. You have a guy that you can feel good about plugging and playing at least two spots on that offensive line, and keep the boat from sinking, if you will. If he's got to hold down the line for a few games, right? We've already seen him do that for 5 to 7, but that was the whole thing. Is 5 to 7 ain't the same thing as 17 games, Voch.
Thanks.
And so we hadn't seen that yet. And so just to assume that just because we like this guy's, he wears cool war paint and eye black and he plays nasty through the whistle. Listen, that's 110% every single rep. That's because that's the only chance that he has.
Because he got to do that. Yep.
He got to be, right? So there's a little bit of sports psychology there for you. Now, I guess I want to turn the page. So we agree, and we see, and we're in lockstep with regards to the importance of interior now, and maybe the changing value as a result of defenses now weaponizing their best rushers, not just a one specific spot or one specific side. Sure. You better be good up the middle, okay? The flip side of the coin for the Cowboys. This is another passionate discussion, or a passionate take that I have in regards to a very polarizing discussion in Cowboys land. Mazi Smith. Fair to question whether or not we're good enough. I would say you're probably not, considering what we just said. To assume that we're good enough there would be foolish. It's the same exact discussion we had on the offensive line spot. You don't know what you have in Mazi Smith yet. We like the direction he's trending. We're hopeful. We don't know who Jay Toya is. This is a discussion that you and I maybe can have for a different day, Voch. I call defensive tackle spot the second most difficult position to find difference-making talent at, only to quarterback. That's the only one. There's a few different reasons for that, but I know you're privy to everything that I've discussed just because I follow your work closely enough to know that, just to assume. Yes, now, Jay Toya, we're hopeful. The one thing that makes me think that there's a, maybe, just maybe, there's a slight, ever so slight possibility that he can sort of, let's just say,
give you something.
Shrink the learning curve just a hair. Yeah. Give you a little bit of something, just as a rotational secondary option at one tech. Run stop. Be powerful. Don't move. Right. the family lineage.
Yeah. I thought you were gonna say because he's 340 pounds.
Well, that too. That obviously, yeah, that obviously helps.
That
It's a prototype, a body type that you haven't really had, not, unless you want to consider maybe John Ridgway or Justin Rogers, but John Ridgway, you cut. Justin Rogers, you cut. So it's like you really haven't seen those guys get drafted, develop, and then produce for you. Cowboys fans don't know what that looks like.
Right.
They don't understand, and they still don't, because Mazi's now entering year 3 in his own right. And that's, traditionally speaking, that's the
leap year.
Yeah, exactly. That's when things, you either figure it out or you don't. And Mazi was put at he had 2 full-time jobs his rookie season, trying to lose weight, 30 pounds.
Trying to lose and gain weight at the same time.
Right. Just
those were Mazi's 2 jobs.
Working against himself, man. But
I think the problem with Mazi, man, first and foremost, he had a couple good games versus John Michael Smith. John Michael ought to be ashamed of himself.
Yeah,
I'll just say it like that. Mazi ain't do that to nobody else, for real.
Fair enough.
You are correct. The learning curve for a one tech is much different. Not only do you have to learn the game, but you got to get grown man strong on the same level that everybody else is grown man strong. And Mazi's strong, but it's different.
And you're also the numbers game, right? You're oftentimes wrestling 2 other grown men who are technical black belts and right IQ at their positions too. So you're outnumbered on top of all those other things.
It's tough. So I think it'll be in the Cowboys' best interest to assume that Mazi probably don't want to do it by himself. Now, what gives me a little hope about this is that the Cowboys weren't
proactive.
Delusional. They weren't delusional about the wide receiver and the right guard position. So I got a little bit of faith that they won't be delusional in the defensive tackle position. Hey, but boy, this our Dallas Cowboys. This is our beloved Dallas Cowboys. I do think Mazi will be fine. I just don't think we can lean on him just yet, especially considering everything that we've just talked about here. Now, when we go to camp, we got some figuring out to do. Because hopefully he lines up against Booker day 1. I'll just let them wrestle.
There's no reason not to.
And it's going to be a lot of situations where we go, man, is Mazi better, or should we be worried about Booker? Or is Booker a bad boy? Or, hey, man, Mazi just terrible. Booker pushing him all over the place. It's going to be rough to figure out because we don't know much about either. We know just as much about Mazi as we know about Booker. Just that Mazi plays some more games, but it'll be in the Cowboys' best interest to go find some help at one take. Sure.
No question. And so, like you said, it's going to be a wait-and-see approach, almost an evaluation. Same thing at running back. Once again, completely different discussion. My caveat to the Mazi thing, as much as we all should agree and be on one accord with them saying, look, you shouldn't be complacent there. You should be proactive and looking to bolster depth, if nothing else. But is it possible, or am I overthinking this, Voch, when I'm a glass half full guy? I'm overly optimistic sometimes to a fault, but it's just the way that I am, the way God made me, the way I operate. The fact that the Cowboys weren't super aggressive, not just in free agency, but then were patient enough to wait and address in the defensive tackle position again until round 7 in the draft. Yeah. Is there a chance that the coaching staff, Aaron White-Cotton and company, Matt Eberflus and company, feel better about Mazi Smith's ability than the fan base does at this current juncture?
Well, that's some cold-blooded optimism, man. They got the same bit of evidence we have. That's last year's film. You know what I mean? Sure. I know Mazi will probably be bigger this year than he was last year. So Mazi still got a lot to prove. I even see some people they'll try to calm the boat a little bit and be like, well, in Eberflus's defense, the one tech doesn't matter. Bro, when you trying to win a Super Bowl,
come on, man.
Everybody matters, dog. You know what I'm saying? You know, you can sit up here and act like one techs don't matter, but if you can get Quentin Williams, you're gonna run and go get him. You ain't just gonna say, oh no, I don't want Quentin Williams. One techs don't matter in this defense. That sounds crazy. You know what I mean? So I maybe the Cowboys do that sometimes. The Cowboys do that sometimes. They get it right sometimes, and we just don't. Man, what's a good example of that, man? I'm just in history, the like we drafted somebody. I'm like, man, what the hell is going on with this?
Mm.
And the Cowboys say, hey man, don't worry about it. And then it just ended up like Travis Frederick, I guess, but that's way too far back, man. It's a more recent example.
You could maybe say Tyler Smith. Honestly, I mean, not a lot of people saw that coming. We knew what he was about once we heard of it. Once we knew that was the pick. But maybe as far as national media is concerned, that one was there was a lot of people that were questioning that one. But
I think Osa, like when Osa was in college, overshown.
I was going to say that Demo is probably another good example of that too.
You a Texas guy?
Mm-hmm.
I seen Overshown's film. It was some good film. Cowboy Overshown a little different than Texas Overshown. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that dude's a little different.
They asked him to do a little bit. His deployment was different at Texas than it is here, and they've got it right, as you would say in this particular instance. It's more, hey, heat-seeking missile, see ball, go get it, that type of thing. Less coverage and responsibility sifting through traffic and stuff. Now, just go.
Quit thinking. Just go.
Quit thinking. Yeah.
Maybe the Cowboys have some of that in mind with Osa. That maybe how we play with alignments. Maybe Osa will get double teamed a little less. Mazi. Maybe we can play with some alignments. Mazi gets double teamed a little less, and maybe that'll help him in the long run. I think that's nonsense. That's me trying to be positive or whatever. I just want another guy in here. And it just seems like DJ Reader's a name that's just floating around. But when we float a name around, the Cowboys never act on that name. It's always somebody we haven't heard of.
Yeah, it's somebody. Yeah, somebody kind of sneaks up on us a little bit. What, do you think it's possible? So, like, just given the current state of, they're gonna have to make some decisions at the edge position, man. There's a lot of guys that you could right now paint the picture and say, okay, this guy's probably gonna make the squad.
Sure.
I mean, we got a former first round guy that might be your 7th best edge at this point, just 4 years ago. Peyton Turner. Peyton Turner. So could you see a situation? Let's just say an opportunity presents itself. Okay. God forbid, or Lord willing, a difference-making defensive tackle, which I do not bank on this. But I know, and a lot of people are saying, "Oh, post you one." Yeah. Difference-making DTs don't just end up on the open market for free, guys. But crazier things have happened, I guess. And me being optimistic, guys, sure, let's just hold out hope. But I'm just saying right now, don't bet on it.
No.
If you're gonna find a difference maker there, especially at one tech, you're gonna have to trade for him. Now, let's say you go and trade for somebody, you name whoever. Yeah. But Jay Toia also proves his worth. Could there be a way in which 5 defensive tackles make this opening day roster? Can you carry 5? I mean, I think especially now today, as you and I are seemingly ahead of the game and in lockstep with physicality is making a push again. Teams are leaning heavier into downhill running attack, more heavier personnel, those types of things, ground and pound, ball control, all that stuff. It'd be tough to carry 5 DTs, Voch, but I'm trying to sit here and think of, like, all right, who are you saying goodbye to? And
5 is a lot. I think it'll be it'll look like 6 edges and maybe 4 DTs. I think that'll be the 10 D lineman that they go with. I think edge is an even tougher conversation. There's a whole bunch of room. Like it's a bunch of dudes in that room, and like roles matter more than how good you are over somebody. Like we need rundown guys, but Sam may not necessarily be that. And when it's time for pass rush, Sam might be your 3rd or 4th pass rush. Like, you know what I mean? So Sam's gonna be in a weird spot. But right now you got Osa and Solomon Thomas, which I feel really good about B gap. I like both of them, Osa and Solomon. But besides that, it is Mazi, Toia, and Justin Rogers. Now, Justin Rogers, you can pretend like he's gonna be a practice squad guy, but last time you tried to practice squad him, he just dipped.
He got poached.
You know what I'm saying? He ended up in Cincinnati. You had to go and take him back. So that's one thing. Toia is not going anywhere because he just got here.
He better not. Once again, learn from your mistakes in the past, man. Don't put those guys that have that run stuff ability like John Ridgeway that don't put those guys out there on the market, man. And I think this coaching staff realizes now it's a different game. So I'm hopeful.
In my mind, you got to add a 1 tech that'll push Justin Rogers off the field and can play enough 1 tech that Mazi probably play backup 3 tech for you sometimes. And that's how I think you make a lot of those guys fit, including Toei.
I love that. I love that, especially, man. You talking about getting specific? Like you could deploy. You could
You
deploy
can
a
go Mazi and Jay and go super big, like
yeah,
we've been talking about.
right.
You can go Mazi and Osa, like they'll probably kick it off. You could go in a pass rushing 2-3 tech mode with Osa and Solomon because you ain't got D-Law taking up B gap reps anymore.
Mhm.
Marshawn might, but I think that's what Solomon is. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Hell, man, Toei, man, just take Toei at 340 pounds and just put him at 0 and see what happens. You know
I
what
was
I mean?
about to say you can get creative with this deployment, especially if you like lining Micah up more in the middle, right? Just give him a two-way go as opposed to having to bend off of one direction. I may still be in the minority on that discussion, just as far as not necessarily playing him off ball more. It don't have to be that, right? And that doesn't necessarily mean just skyrocket those numbers. It's just mix it up just a little bit more often, just to let him
Yeah.
let him go crazy.
I
And
just don't want Mike in the same spot all game.
that's it. That's all I'm asking for too. Right.
So put him at safety and let him blitz or something. They'll never see it coming.
Sorry about you, Dono. My bad.
But sure though. To your point. I asked Coach Whitecotton. This was on the internet. I asked Coach Whitecotton. I said, "Hey man, you like your nose is 310 or 340?" And he said, "I like my guys making plays.
Okay.
I like my guys making plays." So I guess he like everybody. I guess he doesn't favor one size over another one. So but either way, I hope Mazi gets back to like 330 because that'll benefit him the most.
Man, just taking when you're top of the list, Bruce Feldman's freaks, and when people, I think people forget, right? The manufacturer of that push pull device in the weight room, that weight room contraption at the University of Michigan,
Mhm.
it capped at 500 pounds.
Yeah.
They had to come and reinstall longer levers so that they could add 2 more 45-pound plates on each side just to have enough room to stack enough weight for Mazi to push pull.
Sure.
Like, I mean, we're
Mazi
talking,
got physical
he's
traits.
there physically, yes. It's just about,
Just gotta put him-
DQ and Jeff Sganina last year were trying to overcome him. He picked up a nasty habit, just trying to wrestle guys on one leg.
Yeah.
And so I mean, we're talking literal fundamentals here, the foundations of your foundation as a defensive tackle,
Sure.
starting over from scratch. But hey, like I said, man, I'm an optimistic guy, so I'm just going to keep my fingers crossed and hope for the best. But
Hopefully, coaching matters, and
yes,
at least we're not dealing with some Tom Sulas in here or some what I'm saying 80-year-old, 90-year-old men. We got the best in the business, so I feel good about that.
yep. And I could say the same thing for the flip side of the ball too, with Mike Solari and having Clayton Adams already saying the right things now. I'm gonna coach these guys to their strengths, right?
Right. 90-year-old men in the league because Mike McCarthy doing them a favor. Nonsense.
Got his buddies up in there, huh?
The rent was due. That's why he got him up in there.
That's a good place to stop, man. Hey, Voch. Of course, if it's up to me, we do this more frequently. You're a busy man nowadays. Congratulations again.
We'll do it again.
For those of you who have not heard the announcement, where you been? Climb out from under that rock. Voch and Brian Broaddus got something going on. Some big things are being made. It's momentum, not just for them, but literal trailblazers for the people like myself, and just rising tide raises all boats, man. So I can't thank Voch enough. Almost. How far away are we from that 100K, by the way?
Man,
I know it's close.
I'll look right here and tell you. It's so we had 98,892.
Come on now.
So I got about another 11 and some change, man.
Maybe I might could spot you 5 from my 5K that we got over here. Maybe 5. Every little bit helps, right? So just keep climbing up that mountain, man.
It'll come, man. It's written in stone.
It's coming.
It's written in stone. It's gonna happen, man. But hey, man, appreciate you for having me on. We will definitely do it again. You know what I mean? The season's right around the corner. It'll be plenty to talk about. Well, camp too. You know what I mean? And like I said, you do things the right way, and you put out fantastic work with the proper research. You ain't just saying something just to be saying something. You know what I mean? So,
yes, sir.
shouts out to you, brother. Appreciate you having me.
You're the best in the business, man. Thank you. Voch Lombardi, ladies and gentlemen.